Joining me now is Jaziel Hart, the new Penn State cornerback commit, 4-star from Roanoke, Virginia. Give Nittany Lion fans a self-scouting report, kind of like what are they getting on and off the field with Jaziel Hart?
They're getting an all-around athlete, playmaker, and leader.
It's known that Michigan was the leader for a good bit of your recruitment, maybe the majority of it.
Yep.
So what did the Penn State staff or maybe the Michigan staff do to kind of sway you toward Happy Valley?
I just felt comfortable.
Give me your best trait on the field and the trait you'd like to work the most on before you get here.
My best trait on the field, I would say offense catching, and defense, I say my IQ, you know?
Welcome into the Penn State Pulse. I'm your host, Dylan Dawson. We are recording here in State College on May 31st, which is official visit weekend for most of the current commits in the 2026 recruiting class. One of them will be joining me today, and we'll also be hitting headlines on Penn State sports and discussing some additional Penn State football recruiting news. Let's jump right in and start with just that. Most of the current commits, as I mentioned before, are taking their official visits this weekend, so that's a good opportunity for the class to bond. It's the first time the majority of them will actually be able to spend a bunch of time together. There's also 4 uncommitted visitors as well, a pair of offensive linemen in Marlon Bright and Marky Walbridge, and then a pair of linebackers as well with Rodney Colton and Kosi Akpala making the trip up from down south. Let's talk about a little bit of trend up and trend down recruits. I got a bunch of people always asking me where Penn State's at with certain names, certain groups of kids. So let's get into this and clear up some of that. So trend up, the first guy I'm going to highlight is cornerback Kari Adams. He's a 4-star from down in Maryland. He is also looking at Oregon, Notre Dame. He just visited last weekend for his official visit at Penn State, and I think the Nittany Lions are doing very well with him. He's trend up. I also have another corner who officially visited last weekend in Dorian Barney from down in Georgia. Penn State is also trending with him. He just released a top 4 with Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, Michigan, and then the Nittany Lions. And I think Penn State is doing very well with him. As previously mentioned, offensive tackle Marlon Bright, who is visiting this weekend. I think Penn State is doing very well with him. He's from DePaul Catholic out in New Jersey. You might recognize that school from Michael Troutman, the center that signed with Penn State last cycle in 2025. They played together on that DePaul Catholic offensive line, and I think Marlon Bright could be joining the fold here pretty soon. A third corner that I think Penn State is doing very well with is Amari Polidor from St. Francis in Baltimore, Maryland. He is officially visiting on June 6th, and the Nittany Lions seem to be trending pretty well there. Michigan State is another one that they're competing with. D-end Luke Wafel, his brother transferred in from Michigan last semester at D-tackle Owen Wafel, and I think Luke, the younger brother, could end up joining him here. Penn State's battling some heavyweights for him, including Texas and Ohio State. So that'll be a tough one, but he's coming in for his official on June 6th, and I think the Nittany Lions have a little bit of juice there. Another defensive end is Tyson Harley. He's also coming in on June 6th for his official. He is teammates with 5-star DN Carter Meadows out in Washington, D.C. at Gonzaga. They churn out a ton of D1 recruits there at Gonzaga. Caleb Williams, Olu Fashanu, just to name a few. Tyson Harley could be the next one to wear them blue and white. And then D-tackle Tavion Branch. Those of you that follow recruiting may be a bit confused as why I said D-tackle, because Penn State has been recruiting him on the line. But he worked out for Deion Barnes recently, and Barnes really liked what he saw. So he wants to play D-tackle in college. Penn State's down with that game plan now. So he will be in June 13th for his official, and I think Deion Barnes and Penn State could end up with the in-state prospect in the fold. And then finally, I wanted to highlight tight end Pierce Peterson. He is coming in June 20th, and as of right now, I think Penn State is probably the leader for him. I think that one could be wrapped up with his official. Trending down, I'm going to go corner Brandon Arrington. He came in a few weeks ago for his official visit. He was actually, I believe, the first official visitor for Penn State in this cycle. They had a little bit of juice with him, but I think NIL is going to be a pretty big factor in that recruitment, as well as him being a West Coast kid from out there in California. Oregon's going to be in that. USC is in that as well. Texas A&M. I don't really see him coming to Penn State at the moment. I've had a lot of questions about him, but I wouldn't get your hopes up necessarily. There's still a chance. Don't count Terry Smith out of any recruitment, but I don't see it happening. Wide receiver Messiah Hampton, he has a top 7 out. I think he's going to end up at Oregon. Penn State was trending early in his recruitment. They offered him pretty early on, and we're definitely the leader. I think he was probably close to committing back in maybe January or February, but he held off. His recruitment blew up, and now he seems to be trending to the Ducks, maybe Ohio State, but I don't see him ending up in Happy Valley. And then finally, I'm going with offensive lineman Carter Scruggs. I think Penn State is fading with him a bit. He seems to be trending towards Clemson. That's where he's at right now, so we'll see if he makes it out of that visit without committing. If he does, he has an official visit scheduled on June 13th in Happy Valley, so Penn State can make up some ground there. And then Michigan is also involved with that one, so we will see how that shakes out. But right now, it's trending down a bit for the Nittany Lions. A few recent top schools lists have been released. Four-star offensive tackle Johnny Jones has a top 6 that Penn State is a part of. Four-star linebacker Sincere Johnson has a top 3, Penn State, Ohio State, and Alabama. Four-star corner Dorian Barney, who I mentioned Penn State's trending with, has that top 4 of Penn State, Michigan, Georgia Tech, and Texas A&M. And then four-star D-tackle Titan Davis has a top 4, which I was a bit surprised to see Penn State included in, alongside Michigan, Alabama, and USC. Titan Davis should be officially visiting Penn State later this month, so maybe they can make a little bit of headway there. Moving into Penn State sports, the men's lax team fell in the NCAA Final Four to 1 seed Cornell 11-9. Cornell went on to beat Maryland in the national championship game. Liam Matthews, he had 2 awesome behind-the-back goals in that game. Not 1, but 2, and I believe the one made SportsCenter top 10, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. That was an awesome goal. Women's lax, they recently hired a new head coach, Syracuse's Kayla Trainer. Trainer spent 4 years as the head coach of the Orange after her standout career there as a player, so she is an alum as well. Syracuse fell in the second round of the NCAA tournament this season, following 2 straight Final Four appearances in 23 and 24. Baseball, they fell in the semis as well, but in the Big Ten tournament to 8 seed Nebraska. They also went on to win the whole thing. I believe they upset Oregon, and then they upset a couple other high-ranked teams, but Penn State couldn't get past them. They lost 6-3. Penn State wasn't able to pull a couple upsets of their own in the Big Ten tournament, though. They upset Washington and USC, a couple of those Pac-12 newcomers. Moving into basketball, it's looking a little grim right now for next year. Star center Yannick Koenig-Niederhauser, he decided to stay in the NBA draft after a great showing in the Combine and the G League Elite Camp. He averaged 13 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks per game last season. Shot about 61% from the field and only played 25 minutes per game. So he was very efficient. He's been one of, if not the top player, the top riser on NBA draft boards this offseason. So that's a pretty tough loss for Penn State basketball. They do have Caden Mingo and a nice recruiting class coming in, but they've been pretty dormant in the transfer portal this offseason. So we'll see how that roster looks in a couple months. I'm a little worried at the moment, but we will see. Joining me now is Jaziel Hart, the new Penn State cornerback commit, 4-star from Roanoke, Virginia. Official visits are just now starting up this time of the year. Some people may ask, why didn't he just take those official visits before shutting down his recruitment? So why now and why Penn State?
I'm choosing Penn State right now because they are the one school who set me as a high priority over everything, even over the breaks that they were taking. You know, how all coaches went on the spring break and everything. These coaches stayed in contact with me. They kept me as a priority over a lot of things. They stayed connected to my family all the time. They treat me as family as well, and vice versa. You know, this whole entire relationship went both ways for us. You know, 50-50. I felt like we got up to they came up to see us, and we even came up to see them, but mostly the same amount of time too. You know, Coach Poindexter was just at my school as well. Coach Terry has even been up to my house. So those small things, visits, them taking the time, and them getting up here in a quick amount of time when they get that break, it means a lot. It shows a lot too. And yeah.
Right. Definitely a really genuine staff. It's known that Michigan was the leader for a good bit of your recruitment, maybe the majority of it.
Yep.
So what did the Penn State staff or maybe the Michigan staff do to kind of sway you toward Happy Valley?
I just felt more comfortable at Penn State, you know, with the coaching staff. I just felt like I fit right in. They're people who you don't have to be so type of serious all the time with. That you can stay open, you can be yourself around. You can all around. They're connected to my family, you know. Mm-hmm. They want everybody to just have a smile on their face as well. They're in practice. They'll push you to be the best on and off the field. And I see that throughout the players in development too. You know, they always have a great cornerback every single year. Right now, AJ Harris, you see, he's a predicted first-round draft. Like, his development there. So that process I've seen throughout these, since my 8th grade, I've seen a lot of development throughout Penn State with corners. So, yeah.
So give Nittany Lion fans a self-scouting report, kind of like what are they getting on and off the field with Jaziel Hart?
They're getting an all-around athlete, playmaker, and leader. You know, I want to be the face of the program in a couple years. Right now, I want to be someone who I could look up to, those players like AJ Harris and the other players on the team at the cornerback spot. But yeah, following their steps, like Coach said, everybody in that room is soon going to be a starter. Whether or not, you know, you have to follow, you have to do your job right now. And as a freshman coming in, I do want to be a big playmaker, but I know that these people, they have been developed already, and they're a step ahead of me already because they're at Penn State as of now.
Right. Give me your best trait on the field and the trait you'd like to work the most on before you get here to Penn State.
My best trait on the field, I would say, is offense catching, and defense, I say my IQ. You know, I play a lot with my IQ. I read a lot of things before he even comes up to the line. His demeanor, his emotion, the way he even like sticking his gloves together. I'm spitting on the small stuff. You see that if he comes out of here, if he comes out of the huddle and he didn't put his gloves together or didn't look as enthusiastic as he was when he did get the ball, I know the difference in that. So playing and how far he is on space on the field, you know, if he's wide, he could possibly run. He's usually running an inside route because he needs that space. Just the small stuff to take out the game to make my job easier.
Wow. And that's something you want to work on?
I'd say just technique. My technique at DB, you know, as of right now, I have worked both sides of the field incredibly. Because in high school, I go both ways heavily. So I feel like I got to keep both of those at the same level right now. But definitely more on the defensive side with cornerback, my techniques, getting out of the brace quicker, the small stuff like we were just not working, keeping my shoulder down on certain ways, on certain breaks so I can get out there in 3 steps instead of 5 and 4. So those small things, like football is played in the game of inches, and those small critiques could help your game of life.
And stepping off the field, do you have any hobbies or maybe hidden talents?
Well, yeah, you know, we used to ride dirt bikes a lot. I come from the county, so riding dirt bikes, the motocross. What else? Hunting. We did it. My dad took us hunting a lot. Fishing as well. Video games, good at that too. Just all around, like to hang with my friends, you know, chill with the guys. Yep. Yeah, stay cool.
Yep. You should have a couple opportunities here at State College honing a fishing. There's plenty of spots around for that.
I could tell you.
All right, a few rapid fire questions for you before we get out of here. Favorite artist?
Favorite artist, Babyface E.
Okay. Favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal, Fruity Pebbles.
All right. And you have to live on an island for a week. 3 things that you're bringing with you.
I just thought about this. What am I going to bring? Gotta bring a sword. Gotta bring a sword for protection.
All right.
I'd say a fire starter and a purifier.
All right, for water?
Yep.
Gotcha. And then finally, the commit in the class that you're most excited to play alongside?
Julian
Peterson?
Yep.
Gotcha, corner.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he's at lockdown you.
Yes, sir. All right, well, I appreciate you for joining the show. And that's going to do it for the show. I appreciate you guys tuning in as well on the Penn State Pulse. This has been the first episode. Many more to come. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.